eyes may be able to see, but without a heart, you cannot feel.
What's up, everybody? This is Siosi Samuels, and you are tuning in to episode 95 of the It Will Come show. Today, we got a special feature, sitting down with my good friend Olumidé, and we're going to be talking all things marketing, TikTok, maybe even a few world events because some key things are happening right now. And just a very quick one, Olumidé is the founder of the Digital Nomad Summit. He is also a social media marketing advisor and all-around just awesome human being. So just going to hand it over to Olumidé. Olumidé, what's up?
What's going on, George? Thank you for having me on, man. I'm excited. I think you and I have a good vibe, so anything we discuss is going to be real authentic, raw, real. And I think people are going to enjoy just looking like they're talking to us across from the living room, So I'm excited to get it going, man. You said everything that you needed to say to introduce me. I'm excited just to share as much value as I can and, talk about everything that people can benefit from in all sorts of aspects.
100%. So, let's dive straight into it. I always love going into sort of people's past history, right? So maybe if we just have you share a little bit about what has gotten you to this point in time, right? Like your story, and yeah.
Sure. Yeah. For me, it all starts back in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, 1988. I just turned 32. I've been on Earth for a little while now. Okay, I'm starting to figure things out. I was born in Nigeria. I was raised in London, England. So I used to have a British accent. Used to talk like this all the time.
Really?
And I used to have a British accent all day. But now it sounds fake, and people call me out. Even English people, even my cousins in England, they're like, "You don't sound the same anymore."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, because I've been in America." But I basically grew up in England for probably age 6 to 12. And when I was 13 is when I moved to America, to the United States. So I went through the regular patterns. I went to high school, went to college, undergrad. Of course, being a Nigerian kid, I had to go to my master's degree. I did 2 master's degrees at San Diego State University. So I followed all the traditional paths, I'd say.
Yep.
But I think during it, I also understood, this matrix thing where I was like, everybody does the same thing. People are supposed to go to school, get married, have 2 kids, get a mortgage, get a Toyota Corolla, and be happy and die later, after their kids go to college. And that's the path I think most of the world takes. But I just didn't feel it. There's something inauthentic to me about it. And I'd been in entrepreneurship. I was in a college incubator. I was testing out ideas. I was testing things, failing. I like to say learning. And eventually I realized that this marketing stuff could actually sustain me. I was making a couple $100. I was like, okay, if I can do more, maybe I get more clients, then I'll be able to not have to go get a PhD and delay. Basically, a lot of people, what I think we do is, and I did in my case, is you delay going into the real world by getting more education. That's something I don't think I've shared before. I think it's a new perspective, so I want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah,
a lot of friends, people I know now, they say they finish their undergrad, they're like, dang, the job market sucks. Well, the job market always sucks.
Yeah.
And then they say, oh, wait, I know what to do. I'll go get more schooling. Or it comes out to the fact that when you in America, when you go to school, you end up having some financial aid or some government assistance for let's just say loans, which they also bind you into and imprison you with that kind of sort of borrowing mentality. Like, we want you to go to school for $40K, but we'll give you the money as long as you pay it back, but you can never pay it back because your jobs never pay you enough. So I saw that cycle early on, and I decided, I'm not doing a PhD. I'm not going to this highly expensive school that probably won't cover all of it. I'm not going to owe 100G. I'd rather get in debt to 100G trying to cure some disease or some sort of human problem, a societal problem. So that's when I left, and I had enough, a little bit of bread coming in through social media marketing. I was selling Instagram accounts and helping people connect influencers. At the time, I didn't really understand it, but I was basically getting brands to give influencers, getting influencers to give brands shout outs. I was selling different services, little menial services here and there, enough to keep me afloat. And in that time, George, I'll tell you, that was the happiest, and that's why I'm happy now. That's when the happiness began.
Yep.
when I didn't listen to the theology of the parents or the culture and the Nigerian kid and what you're supposed to do, doctor, lawyer, engineer, and I started to embrace more of the things that made me happy, which was travel, which was relationships with people, becoming my true self, understanding who I am really and what I want to contribute to the world, instead of acting out what I thought, who I thought I was supposed to be. So I think in that sort of 3-year process, landing in Bali about a year ago, I've turned into a completely brand new person in terms of my perspective and what I want to do in life, which is use my talents and my gifts to help people and enjoy life and not think about the judgment of others, you know, in societal ways, family, cultural, religious, whatever it may be, that would put a block in my mentality to be able to do things, basic things that I used to hesitate because I thought of judgment of, if you travel, what if people, you know, your best friend thinks, you know, this is dumb and you're going to be homeless in Germany if you go back again because you're not making enough money marketing. And it was like, I'm going to take the risk because I want to see the world. And it doesn't matter if everybody else doesn't think I'm ready, you know? So it brought me to Bali, to where I started to learn a little bit more. I developed my business. I took up my clientele in terms of how much I charge. It allowed me to live a much more comfortable lifestyle in Southeast Asia rather than the United States. And I haven't left since, you know. And with the things that are going on in the U.S., it sort of puts things into perspective. You know, is that a place, and I'm going to be real and raw on this, you know, is that a place I want to live long term? Right now, it's no. You know, I think that you can make a lot of contribution to different cultures and societies by, you know, your network and also building wealth and figuring out other ways rather than standing there, you know, in some sort of fashion to think that one person is going to make a difference. I believe we can all make a difference, but I also know that the hands and the powers that be, access to influence and money and power is really what turns grinds the gears, you know, and that's the summary. I think being here in Bali for a year now has really helped mold me into somebody that's happy with themselves, like looking in the mirror, you know, psychologically, knowing that everything that I do is motivated by me and me alone. And I'm so proud of that, man. Like, it's been a big, big journey in a lot of ways, you know, personally, the romantic relationship, physically, getting healthy, eating healthy. Like, yo, like I'm stingy now. You can't even tell me, you can't bring me food. I have to know exactly where is the source from. Is this meat? If it's meat, did you grass feed it? Which is crazy, but you start realizing your body reacts in a certain way. And I know I'm giving so much comprehensive, but I want to put people in the frame of mind that I'm now. And after sort of getting to Bali, and I have my marketing business, I advise different companies. I'm helping now. One of my big focuses, one of my niches is I'm helping gym owners with all these gyms closed in Southern California to help start their online coaching and online fitness coaching business, where they can earn from teaching people the same things they would in their regular studio, and often charge a high ticket for it depending on their type of clientele. So I'm really just advising people in my regular day-to-day from the knowledge I've developed over the last 3 years, and even like with Draper partnering to create a TikTok course, which I know we'll talk about TikTok later. It's exciting. But I'm in a place where I'm just using my skills that I've acquired, all this tough blood, sweat, and tears to really learn and experiment and lose money, lose thousands of dollars in Facebook ads before I even know what I was doing, to now apply that to help other people. And then on the other side of having traveled for so long, creating a platform for digital nomads, online entrepreneurs, with the Digital Nomad Summit, that will allow us to connect like you and I did, and we feel like brothers. Like, you know, if I come to Singapore, wherever you are in the world, you come to meet me, it's like my brother's visiting. And I think there's something to be said about growing this global sort of family, to where you can land in any country and feel at home. I think that's been the most important thing for me in this journey, is to realize that as humans, being able to create friendship, love, brotherhoods, whatever that may be, that binds communities together, to make sure that when you arrive in a new country, that's the global citizen mentality that I've been able to get to today, that I don't think the whole world has, obviously, from what we're seeing in America. And I think it's up to people like us to spread that love, spread that sort of community effort to bring people together. So yeah, sorry it took so long to explain that, but I hope that makes sense. Oh, nice. Sure. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep. Mhm. Mm. Crazy. Mm. Mm. Ooh, you want to go like that? You want to go like that, George, my man? Yo, listen, man. I live in Bali. I've been here a while, and I know that there's different communities here, and I've seen community around the world. Right? I've been on three different continents, and I can sense exactly what you're saying, where you're getting to. There's different elements of when you build a community that's welcoming, that makes people sort of feel at home and safe. I think that's a beautiful thing. But you're right. There's different objectives at hand that maybe people use to manipulate. And I think, especially when it comes to psychology, us as human beings, we can't survive alone. You're gonna die by yourself in the jungle. You need some. You need other people that's gonna fight. We need to build this cave together. We need to build this house so that when it starts snowing, if you're in Eastern Europe, then you stay warm. And but I think you're right. When people travel the world and they go to certain communities, there's already things already set up, and in some cases, some people are creating communities to benefit themselves. I haven't been part of the only community I know is mine, the one that I've built and I'm building right now. But I do know that there's not always great stories coming out of different communities around Southeast Asia. There's people who've been hurt, or some people, let's just say, are motivated by money. So people build communities, which is so weird. Building a community to make money. I mean, money comes out of it if you do it right. But I've seen communities being built with the prime objective just to make money. And I think that's where it can get a little bit more, discombobulated, just sort of like confusing for people. But I think here's one thing is no one's ever going to be manipulated if their psyche and their soundness and understanding who they are is there. If it's something that you know who you are and you love yourself and you care about, you know, yourself as a human being, you will not be manipulated. I don't believe you can be manipulated to join a community because whatever they have to offer is not as good as what I have in my heart and inside my soul and my spirit. If I'm able to stand alone and say, whatever you guys are doing, whatever is happening in this community, whatever sort of objective you have that I feel like I have to step underneath in order to feel like I belong. If they feel that, if someone has a good, strong heart and know who they are, they'll never be manipulated in that, right? So there's something to be said about human beings and people, us in general, knowing who we truly are so that we're not going to trade belongingness in a community in exchange for whatever, doing something that is against our nature, or that is subservient or makes us feel like we have to earn something. When you join a community, it should be something that you're welcome into, no matter who or what you are. You should never have to pass through some sort of gate or sort of uh, 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 you know path to be able to make community. And like for DNS, we're taking everybody. Like one of the things that I'll be real too. I've listened. We're taking it all. When I started DNS and I started communicating with different people, I know everybody from the top to the bottom, from the poorest or more sort of startup digital nomads to people making multi-millions, whatever, close to billions in terms of their companies and being able to travel around the world. I noticed that some people were like, well, if you have the digital nomads from this part of the world, are you have a quality? Do you have a quality community? Yes, we do, because we're including everybody. No one's going to get excluded for any way, shape, or form. We're going to help the people who are struggling. Your job, if you're up here, don't tell me that you don't want to coach or talk to or teach or access this community. We got people down here that are still human beings that we need to bring up. We need to bring everybody up to a standard. And sure, there's a few of us that would do really crazy numbers because we're the ones that's manufacturing the gears to make things work. But listen, if your brothers and sisters are down here, you better be working to get them here to a certain standard. And that's what I think also leads to answering your question. We have to create communities that are ultimately completely welcoming and help themselves. Though I'm not here to save anybody. We're not here to save anybody. Get your stuff together. You better learn how to make money online, and if you don't know, figure out who's going to help you. And in my attitude, it's that people who want to join the community, who want to improve their life and build a lifestyle that they'll be proud of, they have to put in the work. But we're not going to exclude based on sort of perceptions of where people are from and what they do, or things like that. Mm, yeah, you've been there. Yeah, I've been there. I've been there couch surfing, and my digital nomad lifestyle started sleeping on my friends' couches in Germany. A lot of people didn't know. So, I mean, they listen. I always transparently shared the journey. I would be on Instagram live. I'm like, guys, I'm in Germany and I'm cold. Like they see my jacket. It's like a hoodie, a brown hoodie that I borrowed from a friend because I didn't want to spend money on clothes, and I was wearing this hoodie every time I went out because that was my jacket in Germany. This was 2.5, 3 years ago. So I think when you come from a place of scarcity or challenges, I feel like that's true. Like the people who grew up poor, the people that even had challenges in their early sort of business or lifestyle, should be even more adept to say, I know what it's like to be there, and I want to help people get out of that situation and help them improve. So you're absolutely right. I think there's a difference between the mentality of, so if we have a mastermind, if I have a mastermind, I'm not inviting today. I'm not inviting somebody who is, how do I explain it? Who just started out with their first online business. Like, yeah, I don't know how to set up a Shopify store if they want to do e-commerce. They're not going to bring value to a high-level mastermind. But I'm not going to look down on them and not be surrounded or hang out with them on certain occasions because I feel like I'm better. I think that is definitely the wrong attitude, and I do think that a lot of people do uphold that sort of mentality, which is wrong. You have to still care about your fellow human, no matter what. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Right. hmm Yeah. It's a tough situation because I think everybody has their own walk, their own. I can't speak for every American or every Black American. Let's be specific, but I can tell you that first of all, if you look at my history, and I want to speak from my perspective, right? I was born in Nigeria. I am African. I am a Nigerian. That was my parents immigrated. They were ministers. They worked in the church. They went to America or to England first, and then to America based on religion or faith, right? So my perspective has been being able to be black in different continents and countries. This is unique to that. I don't think very few of us people around the world have. So I have the perspective psychologically of being a black person in the United Kingdom, in the UK. Now I have a perspective coming from there as 13. So you get the entire journey from 13, because that's when you start understanding stuff. You're like, okay, why are people acting this way? You know, you understand society, you start to understand emotions, you know. So I got to America when I was 13, right? That's when you're adult. You start like understanding adult themes, right? For me, there was a stark difference between the United Kingdom, and in my post I talked about, I addressed this, and America. And I could tell you that a majority of it was psychological, and it was two things. It was environmental, so the constructs, the societal constructs of how black people are treated in America by the police, by people in authority, and I'll give specific examples in a minute, and also psychological, because when you land in a situation, if you're living, when we first arrived in America, we lived in what's a ghetto, the hood, east side of Columbus, Ohio, okay? So when I went to school, we had metal detectors. All the schools in the district had metal detectors. Frankly, I think I was in 8th grade. I didn't really understand, because I was a British kid. What's going on? They always scanning people when they walk in, and that's kind of weird, isn't it? And it was like, sort of saw this, okay, there's a difference between walking to a school where the teachers are giving high fives and everybody's happy. That's what I imagine the white schools were. And you walk into school and kids are angry, bro. If you go to class and half of the kids are looking at you like they want to fight you, do you think that affects your mentality? Do you think that toughens you up to make you think, I need to protect myself wherever I go? Do you think that when you walk out of school every day and you see cops and they're talking to 3 of your friends that you talk to at lunch, and they're kind of looking down on them like this, and you're black too, don't you think that affects me psychologically? This is what I think a lot of the world, and especially whites or Caucasians in America and around the world, don't understand.
Yeah.
Is that psychological warfare that when you get to America is automatically implemented, right? So, you know, other examples just in general, I don't think, for me, I've only been like, let's be real too, like, well, let's be specific. I mean, I heard the N-word called to me a few times in my life, right? In a derogatory manner from non-black people. And I didn't, bro, let me be real. Let's get it all on the table. I didn't even know what the N-word was till I got to America, bro. Because my Christian kid, Jesus, I didn't know anything about hip-hop music until I got to America. Right?
Yeah, wow.
Then I get to America, I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then you're like, oh, wait, but it means this? Then I got educated into what the N-word means for black Americans, right? Like, okay, we can say it, but the white people can't say it. So I'm like, okay, I'm in the group. So they're telling me, like, okay, you cool. Now you understand. We just educated to England. They used to call me England. That was my nickname. So you see the way I wasn't even black when I got to America, right? I had to learn. I had to learn the mannerisms. I had to, even though I had a British accent, I still got accepted in the group, because I was black like everybody else, innit? So I get in with the group and I understand, but then I also start to take on these characteristics of pain that is formed in a country that's fueled by slavery, and the fact that I understand. I start watching. I didn't even know about slavery, because I come from Nigeria. We never were slaves. Like we the mentality is you get to England, everybody's an immigrant. That's a different story. We're immigrants into the UK, but then you have groups of immigrant kids hanging out together. We're cool. We're hanging out. We're having fun. We don't fight each other like that. We don't understand conflict like that. We're just a big family from around the world as a 10, 11, 12-year-old in England. Then you get to America and you watch all the slavery movies and you're like, oh shit, that guy kind of looked like me. And then the teachers are like, well, all teachers are black, so they're like, shit, like y'all need to watch this. And we're all watching this like, oh shit. So then you have some sort of a taste of bitter taste in your mouth, and you're like, yeah, you're looking at the white people on the TV show, on the documentary. So then you walk outside, you see the white police officer. You're like, that dude remind me from the dude in the documentary. So then you're being conditioned again, over and over and over again. You get to your teenage years and you get to high school, and now you're environment I grew up with. I didn't go out. My parents didn't let me do anything. I didn't, and I get it now. You know, there's other sort of things that maybe in the future I'll expand on, the challenges I went through with that and being a sheltered Christian kid. But you know, you go into the world, and some of the things I mentioned in my post was, You know, my parents always told me like, yo, if you ever see police, keep walking. I was like, okay. If they ask you what you're doing, just say, yeah, you're just going home, you know? And even they, as Africans, were conditioned to protect their children from people of authority that they did not trust. We're talking about, this is almost like the experiment where they put the mouse in a new environment. They put us into America, and we had to power to this machine that does not protect or see value. My mother, and maybe they'll watch this later, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
My mother has positions for jobs where they give people that don't look like her the job, you know? But then is that because she was not qualified in certain areas, or is it possible that in some categories, because these jobs in the early 2000s were more apt for white leadership? These are the things that, to be honest, growing up around it, I still had this edge. I still had this because I was an African kid, right? Like I still had this edge. Like I come from rural. Like we were never slaves. But then I remember that these are brothers and sisters that were shipped here. And I made a post on, funny enough, on TikTok. It's probably my most important story on TikTok, looking at the history from slavery to segregation, the Jim Crow laws. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, for God's sake, you better Google this, because the whole world needs to understand this chasm and this structure in which America has functioned. You go from slavery to where America has literally built the foundation of this country through the cotton industry, textile, building damn well buildings, to Jim Crow, where segregation happened, where black kids and white kids went to different schools. And then, you know, after that, mass incarceration, to where even now that the people are starting to maybe develop a little bit now, when the drug trade starts, any of the people who are in possession of drugs, if you were black, you went to jail a little bit longer. Like, I don't know how much more longer, but like twice the amount of time that you would serve if you're a white person with a drug possession with the same crack rock or the same marijuana leaf, you went to jail longer. And it was an epidemic of discrimination that still continues to, that's not over. Remember, that's not over, right? So when people, I think one of the biggest lessons before I close here is that in this time, what I've seen from making my posts is like some of my white friends from high school, they're like, yeah, I didn't understand this and this. And then they DM me. There's a dialogue that's happened for the first time that I have not seen when a black man has been injusticeably murdered on live television, on Instagram, or on a video. This is the first time that I've seen white people in my network actually damn well pick up their fingertips and say something. It was refreshing. It was I was very happy to see allies, you know, people that say, okay, I didn't understand my privilege, but this is the first time that they're talking about it, right? Like people who you know, they're the shyest. They think if they say something, they might say it wrong. They're talking. Now, they're not doing it perfect, but I don't care. I want to hear more people step up and acknowledge this sort of historical injustification that when I wrote my post, or whenever in the past, before 2 days ago, if I write a post about feeling like I was discriminated against, or my friends were discriminated against, I'm thinking, it wasn't that bad. He only said the N-word once, you know, and for me, I thought that, and a lot of us people of color think that if you say something, now you're complaining. Oh, like it's 2020, so everything is okay. It's not okay. If I went to an all college or a majority, damn it, well, at most colleges are majority white unless you go to the South. I went to a college where I was always mostly 99% of the time I was the only black kid in school, black kid in class. And I thought if I speak too much, damn, they're going to be staring at me. That was something I think I admit to myself now, that this is all in the past, but it's something that I'm learning now, because the emotions and the pent up emotions of being in these constructs are now being unlocked. I'm very happy about that, you know? And for me, coming to Bali and traveling the world, I want to tell you guys, if you're watching, because we're also on the theme of digital nomadism, that freed me to become my true Nigerian, African, true heritage, to embrace that. Because when I see George and I see you're diverse, you're a person of color from another part of the world, but like I feel like you're my brother and I can relate to you, it frees my mind to, because I'm not in a very homogenous society that I'm the only one left out. Now we've got different colors, different countries. I think that's the beauty in the environment that now we are creating, and I think it's the origin of how the world was before greed or all these different sort of nations swept into rich nations to literally steal not just resources but humans to build up their own nations. And I think that can't be lost. I think that privilege has to be like shouted out, and people also, as I've said with our white brothers and sisters, and people who are more apt to be the colonialists are now realizing that when you walk into a coffee shop or you go to a bank or you do whatever it is that you do, you're not looked at the same, And but one note I'll close with on this thought is that this isn't a time to feel inferior, especially for our people of color. I don't feel inferior. I feel empowered. I feel happy that people realize what their history and the history has put us in a certain position, the position that I refuse to put myself of inferiority. When I walk into a room, I don't care who you are, where you're from. You're about to listen to me. I feel a position of empowerment, and especially when people see my face now, been seen by over 2 million people on TikTok from around the world. People know who I am and what I do, and they know what I stand for. And sure, I may look different than you, but they have a profound respect over who I am. And the people that don't, and one thought is the people that don't, the people that discriminate, the people that look down for some reason or another, it's their head. So what I started to realize, the racist and the discriminator is in fear. They're the ones projecting their insecurities and their fears on you. Remember that, people. If you're a person of color, never feel as if someone can control your movements or actions, or don't get angry because you can get angry, someone call you the N-word, but don't let it affect you. I corrected it. When I hear that, I'm like, excuse me, you should not say that. This is disrespectful to an entire group of people. If you want me to educate you, I can educate you. We have like 30 minutes here, bro. I used to hear the N-word, and also I detached myself from it because I'm African. Like, this doesn't affect me. Then when you grow up in the struggle of America, this does affect you, and it's something you should address. So I started telling people when a white friend says it, and I had an incident that literally happened in Bali. I was at a private party, and we named the parties involved, and I was like, excuse me, bro, that's the second time you said this, so I'm going to have to tell you something. Let's have a little chat real quick. This is the history of what you're saying. I don't care where you're from. Oh, blah, blah, but I'm white, but I was born in Zimbabwe. I don't care. Your friends let you say it. I'm your new friend. You're not saying that in my presence because of what it means to other people. And for me, it doesn't hurt me like that. You can't hurt me like that. But for other people, my friends, you be on the floor right now, bro. So let's have a talk to understand where your mentality is that makes you think that this is funny to say in a group setting where I'm the only black person. Most people knock this dude out. Bye-bye. Me, I'm on the elevated surface here. We're thinking about the entire construct of how things work, but a lot of people haven't let their mind and their spirit get free to a point where they don't react to words. I don't react to words, but I understand the meanings of them, and I will educate you if you need to understand, right? So I hope that really puts that thing in perspective for people, because I'm hearing some of my Latino brothers and sisters also tell me in the DMs, like, yo, like, yeah, when my parents immigrated, we almost felt like we were second-class citizens. I was like, oh, shit, okay, you're dealing with that too. There's something unique. America is unique in the way that it is structured to fuel the machine of capitalism mainly, to turn us into workers, and in the extreme case, turn people into workers, slaves, where one note I want to make, we could talk about this all day, but one quick thing I want to make is, you guys think about slavery for a second and how it built up America. And now think about indentured servitude. One of the things that they changed, or they didn't change, what they said is, when they allowed black people to be finally human beings, you remember that part? They allowed black people to be human beings in America. Like, okay, y'all, now y'all free. They said, except in the case of crime. So they said, if you commit a crime, we can still enslave you. What is that? The prison system. 40% of black people, or 40% of the prison system is black. And guess what you do in prison? You actually still get paid in prison, but you get 2 cents an hour, right? Slaves used to get paid too. Here's some food, here's some coins, so you can buy some stuff for your family. Now they're doing that in prison systems, enslaving black people for crimes or things that are, in some cases, unjust penalties because the guy was just in the wrong place at the same time. God, thank God for this. I've been in places where kids are doing things, maybe a couple of times. I was too scared to even step in that direction. A couple of times where kids were doing something. This dude, we're at the mall, I'm with this dude on this side. That dude just took something because he's a friend. He's part of the group, but he needed to grab something that day. So he grabbed something, but I'm on the other side of the street. And I just don't happen to have an understanding of what's happening. I could have been rolled up on too. You know what I mean? So your environment is so key in the way that your life can go south. And I think people need to realize that the environmental conditioning, they say, yeah, man, but he should be able to get out of the hood. How? He don't have a transportation to leave the hood, nor does he have the mentality that's not been conditioned in the right way to be able to get to a higher level. And that was one of the things I did in a TikTok video too. Redlining is basically banks did not give the amount of financing to specific families, black people, in order to be able to own homes where there was majority white. So they discriminated against in a way of you can't even live with the white people. So now you're feeling this like, damn, like every time I see them, it's like, damn, those people just have a different lifestyle than us.
Yep.
It was built to specific predatory, systemic laws and rules. So like if the laws are penalizing black people for crimes and they're going to jail more, and then the black people that do have some money together that want to get a loan from the bank to get a house in a nicer neighborhood so we can damn well advance, well, we can't even get that because they're like, we can't. If we have one black family here, the rest of them might start moving in. How do you think that affects the psyche of an entire population, right? Hope that helps, guys.
Oh man, bro. It's such a fascinating part, right? Because I know, right, we could talk about the marketing side and the social media side, right? But it's definitely, I think it would be remiss, of us to not like have a chat about what's going on in the world right now, because it is directly correlated, in my opinion, with opportunities and our ability to move up and move on. And why, like, you and I are probably very privileged in the fact that at least our families, were pretty well off, and we had the opportunities to travel, and maybe a little bit more grounded.
My family wasn't well off, but
I
still had to travel.
Yeah.
We weren't. My family wasn't well off, bro. I used my college. Can I say this? Let's just say I found ways in the system to hack to be able to get a step up without having to go entirely through the educational system. But please go ahead. I just wanted to make that.
Yeah. When I say well off as well, it's like, my family, like immigrants too, they made their way up, right? But I still look at that as that I'm a lot more well off than others in the world, right? That's, I guess, how I see it. Like.
Oh, then the whole world, yes, absolutely.
Because
so we're blessed in being able to have access to things others don't have just because of our situation, thankfully.
Yes, exactly. So I see that as even our privilege, even though we are people of color, right? And even though we are, men. There's privilege with being men too, right?
That's true.
But again, it's like because of that, and maybe because we've had a little bit more resilience building through like either maybe good family, and all of our families we have issues.
Yes,
with
good
that.
family. We can talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, let's talk about that.
Like my parents knew that at least to have a fighting chance, like if you come in as an immigrant, you got no assets, you don't got land, you don't have any things that you own here. So the education, I think the biggest thing, brother, was the educational aspect of getting experience with other people and in a different place would be the thing that helped educate you to have your mind, or at least buy time to make the best decision for you, because I still don't know if I know that not going on to do a PhD and staying in the regular job was the right choice for me. I never regret that. Look where I'm at, the freedom, the mentality, the open sort of lifestyle that I can live on my own terms.
Yeah.
I think the fact is that I think the baseline of the morals and the ethics that you learn on how to treat people right, never steal and how to cheat. And that a lot of it is a lot of religious theology. I appreciate that, right? It makes you into a person that respects other human beings. So I think more of that than the money or the fact that they had enough, at least money to drive you to a better school district or those things like that did make a difference. I think more the moral characteristics that built us. Like when you look at us, we're respectful men who take care of our women or women that we see, rather than we're just respectful in general. I think your culture is extremely respectful towards people. Women culture, community is huge. Nigerian culture, like when you have a party, it's like 55 uncles. You're like, where did these uncles and aunties come from?
I didn't even know I had them.
yes, we are from Uncle Tia and the other side with the other place. That's where we come from. I'm like, who invited you to this wedding, bro? But it's the community that we built in our cultures. I think that also allowed us and you to build Faya and your community, which is really cool. I feel like that community and that respect and the ethics and the baseline of morals was what separates us to be able to get to where we are, rather than necessarily than the money or like the fact that they knew that probably going to college was a good idea at the time. That's what I would say about with the family and the culture.
100%. And I think, with the community side, right, like it's fascinating that community management is even a profession now, right? Like we've gone that far that now we have to teach people how to do community because we've forgotten how to do it, which is something that is for, I think, you and I, right? Like we are lucky that we have that experience, we have that grounding in community. So coming into the Western world, that's at least my observation, that like a lot of those things that we might have taken for granted, now people pay for your knowledge or expertise around. And I'm just pulling off of my own culture.
Hey, cut the check. Just write the check, because we can tell you how to build a community, baby. It's true. It's like, well, it shows how far you're right. People have optimized for revenue and building powerful company over community, because we don't need to interact. If you do this task, if you do what you're supposed to do, but then they realize at the higher levels that they're losing money because they're not built. People are leaving the work, or people are unhappy. Mental health. If you don't have community, your mental health is that's why I felt for people under COVID. People who didn't have community, or at least somebody that they were around. Like I'm actually at Camp 308 right now, and if you don't have a community, you don't have a partner, you don't have anybody that you're with, plug in my laptop so you guys give me a moment.
Sure.
Then what are you going to do to survive? It's just like that human nature. 1 second. Yeah, my laptop. Is it? Okay, good. So it's human nature where you're like, now we can go for another hour. Now you got me. I didn't want to go too long, but I feel like
it's important. It's important, bro.
Some of the things that it's so relevant to today, but like people are realizing that if you build a community of people that are happy and their mental health is good and great, then you can just get these outputs that's just tremendous and amazing as well. So I totally agree with you.
Exactly. And, even from a business standpoint, right? Like, so some of the clients I've been working with, I noticed essentially those who had put at least a little bit of effort into their community building, their survival rate was much higher at this point in time than those who just consider them to be transactional relationships, right? Because those customers, if you've got a business that is just transactional, well, when anything bad happens, well, you're just considered a commodity thing, something that's transactional, right? So you don't have a relationship. Whereas those businesses that understood the importance of relationships, well, they already have an attachment to the brand and the people within that brand. And so, they then were able to pivot, and you then know that those customers actually want to see you succeed during this time as well. So they stick around, and they would pay for things that they might not have otherwise because they didn't have a relationship.
Yeah, it's that brand. It's like brand equity. Community adds to brand equity, and like I feel like you're right. Like in my business, like my friends who are business owners or even physical restaurants or delivery, like they're still popping off. Like it's fine. Like, okay, we can't come to the restaurant. We'll just order on the app.
Yeah.
Because they built community and built a welcoming space, whether it was physical or virtual, that people felt as if there's trust there, and this is my home.
Yes.
So I totally agree on the marketing side. Like if you can make sure you include community and making people feel like they're a part of something authentically.
Yes. And
it really like makes a huge difference. It really, really makes a huge difference. And I'm glad that people are listening to you. I know you're an expert and you're just sharing from your heart what you've learned and from culture, how you can move that into business. Like it's transforming businesses all around the world because, and I think a lot of businesses are learning now too. They can build, you're a business owner watching, you can build community now by not running away and thinking like, oh, this is no time to put into marketing. I don't want to do anything. We're going to close shop. And then when we open up back again in 2 months, if you try not to create community right now, you're done. I'm just going to be real. Like, and that's how the status I'm in now. I just tell business owners, if you do this, you will fail.
Yep.
Would you like to do this so you don't fail? No, it's just real. You know?
No, 100%, man, 100%, and like you're definitely a good like leading by example, right? Because they're obviously, especially entrepreneurs during this time, right? Like I think we're so used to being able to know how to make money with very little resources, sometimes none at all, right? And so
we figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. We figured it out. It's like shit. COVID-19. I mean, nothing changed much, especially for us as like digital nomads, right?
Nothing
people
really changed.
Yeah. The only thing I think is just maybe a restriction on freedom, being able to know that you can kind of go wherever you want. But yeah, from the marketing side, I think now actually let's move into your TikTok journey, right? Because this is fascinating because there's I think a lot of people don't know the difference as well between like a community and then like a network and fans too, right? Because there can be like one-way relationships, and then my opinion on communities is always like multi-way, right? Where if you have an audience, it might just be one way with you, but it's like how do you get then people to kind of communicate with each other? But you have been able to amass like a couple million views, right, on your TikTok videos in a very short amount of time. Like essentially, what have been your lessons and observations about one, the medium, and then two, just the whole journey with that and what that means for you?
For me, for TikTok, it's been interesting because I jumped on like probably a year ago, actually. I posted a couple of people were more because I'm creative. I do some dancing. I'm doing music now too.
Yep.
And back then I was like, let me dance. Let me put one of my dance videos up there. And I just put up basic videos without really understanding the platform. And I got no traction. I was like, all right, whatever. TikTok's not for me.
Yeah.
But when I came back, I realized the environment that I was in, living in Bali, Indonesia, is one of the biggest things I can say about TikTok is look into what the audience wants. So in this case, you're right. Like there's a difference between building a one-way relationship and a feedback community.
Yeah.
So what I did was I jumped back on. My goal was to build community and a connection with the Indonesian people. So I talked about me. Instead of trying to be funny or entertaining, I talked about where am I from, and I talked about here's how we say certain words, Indonesian words. Here's how you say it in Yoruba, my tribal language in Nigeria. I spoke in different languages. I gave them the true core of who I am. So funny enough, TikTok for me hasn't been about trying to turn people into customers yet or trying to make money. Again, it's the principle of creating a community and creating a business by growing an audience through value.
Yes.
And
then it will come. The money will come.
Come afterwards. I'm not worried. I think I got 2,000 followers yesterday.
Yeah.
Because I created a video about, funny enough, about what's happening in America. So I got people to basically see the authentic me, my reaction, and I gave them a history of discrimination of people in America. Who would think that would be something that people would want to watch? Do people care? People care. So authenticity and being real is what made me do well on TikTok. But then if we want to talk about the technical side, I can talk about that now.
Yeah.
TikTok itself is a very viral platform that gives opportunities right now, today, June 2nd, 2020, for anybody to go viral. Why? Because they have something called a For You page, which is a scrollable page that fills the entire screen that everybody has a chance to appear on. And when you create content, it allows people in your area mostly and in the country you're in to scroll through and you see your content. Here's some actionable tips. Difference between Instagram and other platforms like Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok is when you use hashtags on TikTok, it actually works. It shows your content to a targeted group of people who are already looking up that content. And I've got some news for my marketers and for my business owners and brands. You can actually grow a business and a brand on TikTok. I just chose to go a path of language and culture because it's a part of who I am, and I want to build another business based on language and culture, right? But I've seen marketers with 70,000 followers on TikTok with people who are engaging and asking questions about how do I grow my Instagram, how do I market my my restaurant on TikTok now? You know, how do I and then people who are experts on Instagram marketing who are sharing those tips. And there's a lady who's got 40,000 followers. You know, there's a lady, like, TikTok allows you to use hashtags if you use them correctly, meaning you use, here's an actionable tip, using a hashtag that has less than 2 million views on it, so that you have a chance to compete as a new account in front of the group of people that are seeing your video as they scroll through their For You page. So what happens is, when you first get on TikTok, know your niche, know where you're headed. If you want to be a marketer, if you want to be a language person, if you want to be someone who dances, and if you think you're hot and you want to get 100,000 followers because you think you can build a brand as an influencer who just dances, you can do that as well. But you have to know your abilities and your talents, and you have to create hashtags and videos that addresses those needs or that solves a problem for people. So one of the things I'll say as well is the first, obviously, 3 to 5 seconds of your video are very important. Tell people what you're going to show them. The last video I made, I said, here's why people are going crazy in America. Here's a history of discrimination in America. 1890-something, and I told them, and I broke it down in the video. So identify what you're going to teach people in the video, and also niche down early, and actually not that hard to go viral now. Like my last video, I was like, all right, this is going to go viral. It has 500,000 views in like 5 days. So if you know what you want to represent and what you want to grow a personal brand, and forget about business for now, you just get on the platform and start growing. Make sure you create content around that. And one tip I'll give people, go to the search tab, type in your type in a hashtag related to your niche, and then scroll through on what videos are doing very well. What you can do is, don't copy their exact video, right? Create a video similar that's inspired by this, use a different song, or use the same song, but tell people a different thing about social media marketing, and use similar hashtags with less competition. And when I did that, I went from having a video that had 90 views, and I was like, what's going on TikTok, to I refreshed the page, and every 5 minutes I'm getting 300 views, 500 views, and I'm looking at them like by the second day I have 500,000 views. Because I'm using the hashtags, and I've done the research to look at what are people engaging with and what is valuable to people.
Damn, son.
And if you have any specific TikTok about execution, ask me, or if anyone has any specific doubts about, like, will this work on TikTok, or why would I do that? Ask me, because I'm to answer any questions you have, George, or anybody that's watching. And even later on, I know you'll repost this. If anybody has questions, please ask below, because this is an opportunity that people have had 5 years ago on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, where if you're the first creator in these specific niches, you're growing like crazy. You know, the travel niche in Instagram is pretty saturated. You can still do it, like if you have some unique content. But we've seen everybody's seen Cappadocia, Greece, bro. You can't make an air balloon video in Greece with all the balloons up and think you're going to get 1 million followers in one day. We've seen that. People on Instagram have not, or on TikTok have not seen that kind of content. Plus, they haven't identified who their favorite people are in these different niches. The platform is still young. If you go to a niche and create a niche right now on TikTok, you will succeed. If you buy my course, that's partnered with Draper Startup.
100%.
There you go. Buy the course. Go to Draper. Type in Draper University Startup House, and you'll find it. And we can link it below, or you guys.
I'll include
George
the link.
Ask me.
I'll include the link.
Listen, anybody can grow to 10,000 followers in a month or 2 months. Depends on your niche. If you follow a specific way of moving for TikTok, because the platform is meant to reward people who create content. That's it. Simple.
Right. And what's the like? Because I'm sure we've seen with every single social media platform, right? Like at the beginning, the people who get in first usually have an advantage, right? So do you think that'll apply similarly to TikTok too? Like if it starts to get saturated?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, like it's always like by the time like in a year from now, if there are more people doing travel content or marketers, oh God, when we marketers get a hold of something, just run.
Yep.
Because it's gonna be a little bit more competitive, because if someone's making the same kind of video, the same kind of content, now it comes down to they only have a limited people to show it to. So what's happening on TikTok is the content creators, the users far outweigh the content creators. Everybody's trying to get to my content right here, and TikTok has a lot of people that are interested in it right now. Now, when we get too many of us on there, there's too many of us showing the similar content that they feel suffocated, and then like we've seen this before. There's a lot more people than there are content creators. So we have a chance to really exhibit and show what we're doing, and have a chance to shine in the light, because every time someone scrolls on the For You page, if there was 100 of me versus one of me teaching the specific subject or value-driven video, TikTok only has a limited amount of times to show it to these people, right? So that's the sort of the number notification. Jump on TikTok now, because at least if you get 10,000 followers, targeted followers that like what you do and who you are, they'll be loyal, as George said. You have a community that's loyal to you, that follows you throughout. Even when this happens, these people are still like, okay, we like you.
Yeah.
You've been giving us value. You did a meetup in Jakarta. It's cool. We like you.
Yeah.
But if you're one of the people that jump on a year from now, or even a month from now in certain niches, people are already their favorites, right? Everyone has their favorite Taylor Cuff films. I saw him in Bali a few months ago. They like their favorite travel influencer and creator. If you don't become early, it's going to be harder. Now it's not hard. I'm still growing a little bit on Instagram, but it's my main focus. Instagram and TikTok, and again, for the high ticket clients are my focus. But you can still go viral on Instagram. Yeah. But it's harder.
Interesting. So it's kind of reminds me of that whole blue ocean strategy, right? Like kind of go to where the red ocean would be all the more saturated social media platforms. You can go there, and actually, looking back, even in my own career history, right? I would always, I would never apply for a job where there's like thousands of applicants or whatnot. Like I would always find a way in through another, right? Right. Exactly, right? So I'd go find other employees and just find a backdoor way, like where there's less competition, really. And now it's not that I'm what do you call it, resistant to competition, because I enjoy competition, right? Because it helps us. But it's like I'm also I like working smarter, and it's like if more energy is going to be exerted there, I'm going to find where there's less energy required, because we got limited resources, time, etc.
Yeah, time. If you put the same amount of time into, I have a friend who's a real estate agent. He does luxury homes. He sells $15 million homes. He told me, listen, he said, I stopped selling $500,000 homes. I start selling $2, $3, $4, $5 million homes, because it took me the same exact time to find the client. Now I had to have more expertise. I had to think a little bit more. I had to build this kind of relationship. If it takes me the same time and I'm making 10 times the amount of commissions, guess what I'm going to do? And that's one of the people that also I realized, his name is Rod Watson. I realized, dude, if you're going to go in on something, if you're going to go in on marketing, why should you go for a high ticket? Why are you no judging on the freelancers, but one of the things I do is I help freelancers go from just working on Upwork and Fiverr to building a freelancing agent, for example, a copywriting agency. Why would you be a copywriter on Fiverr if they want to pay you $5? Or do you want to come make $5,000 a month as an agency and somebody who's branded themselves into an authority?
Correct.
Same principle, right there. The same amount of time you guys are using to do whatever you're doing at home, you could be using and put that energy in that mental space into trying to build a 6 to 7 figure business that helps people and builds real community.
Yep, 100%, man. Damn. Now I know we're going about to the hour. So maybe I'll just leave with a final question for you. It's really, is there anything that you haven't spoken about, the last hour that you would like to squeeze in, before we wrap up?
Um, Not really. I mean, I know that you guys probably are aware of our Digital Nomad Virtual Summit on June 5th, Singapore time, starting at 7 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Yep.
This is my life's work, man. It's going to sound crazy to you, but this is one of the things that I'm truly proud to have started, and the partners and the people we have on board. Like, I wouldn't say like I've worked blood, sweat, and tears, but it's taken a certain amount of my energy and resilience to create this and to really believe in myself, to know like I have no doubt that this is going to impact millions of lives. It's going to impact millions of lives, and by the time I'm done with it, and the kind of partners and people we work with, this is just the beginning, but I want people to consider being a part of this virtual summit, because you're not going to just learn how to, create an income from Amazon FBA and learn how to sell stuff on Amazon, or, how to start your own marketing agency, or how to use mental hacks to be more productive, whatever. You're going to meet a community of people that are global minded, that are here to meet other diverse people from around the world to learn, and you're going to make friends with people. Yeah. You're going to develop a thing where, sure, we're going to make money online, but when I drop in Paris, bro, you're picking me up at the airport. That's the kind of real stuff that we come from, our family and our culture, that says this is normal, and we have to turn this into something normal for other people, to where you don't have to feel alone anymore. You don't have to travel the world feeling like you're a solo traveler and you don't have any friends, because I know that is part of it. As much as it's fun to travel alone, you want companionship, you want friendships, and we're building in systems and community that's going to allow us to do. There's other things that's going to be built on top of this platform later that I haven't spoken about, that's really the game changer. But I want people to know that if they join us, that they're going to meet a new family, and we got your back. And that's what I think matters much more than making 7 figures and being a business and all this stuff. It's like, damn, well, when I'm tired, who's going to lift me up? When I'm hungry, where am I going to go eat? Who am I going to hang out with when I'm feeling as if I want another human being around me? And that's what I want to tell people they can get when they come to join us. And I'm excited that, we're partnered with Draper, and I'm just excited for what's to come in the future. And if anybody ever wants to reach out to me, I want to let them know, like, I'm an open book. I'm busy. Like, we all have our lives. I got to prioritize myself and my family and close ones. But I'll never not respond to somebody who's sent a respectful message to say hello or to ask a question. So thank you for the opportunity, George. And I'm looking forward to connecting with you in person, man, when this stuff is sort of over,
Yep. Yeah, when we can actually move around freely, right? Who knows? Yeah, who knows? I mean, we didn't even get into like long distance relationships, right? Like, I mean,
we got to do another one. We got to do a follow up on that one.
Sounds good. Don't worry,
we got to do a love episode.
Yeah, exactly. A love episode, man.
Have healthy relationships, bro. You got to tell people how to have these healthy relationships, bro. How to be masculine, how women can be feminine, and how we can have that balance and live a happy lifestyle, man. It's not that complicated once you figure some few things out.
Yeah, man. I was actually thinking about doing an episode about true alphas. Actually, there's a episode from that TV series called Teen Wolf or whatever. I remember seeing it a while back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I mean, I never finished the whole thing.
I love that you watch Teen Wolf, man. Yes, bro. Yes. But keep going.
I mean, shit. Because I'm a huge fan of wolves in general, right? So I remember watching that for a bit. I didn't finish the whole thing. But there was a very interesting episode where they talked about this concept of the true alpha. And in it, the true alpha, essentially, he was able to get into an alpha role out of, sheer, virtue and willpower. Instead of, I think, needing to, kill somebody else. Which kind of goes, right? That whole alpha thing is a dominance, right? But what I learned about wolves is actually the whole dominant, hierarchical wolf pack model actually is a mistaken sort of model that came from a guy who researched wolves, but they were in captivity. So he pulled that model, it got applied to human beings, but we perpetuated that sort of mythology around it. But he came out later with new research saying that, well, actually, no, the wolf pack model is just like any family. You have the parents, you have the children, and for a time there might be some hierarchy, but the hierarchy actually only is implemented during execution time. right? But outside of
thank
that, yeah, it can go
Everybody's chilling,
flat.
but
Yeah.
when stuff goes down, hey, we know what's about to happen. Exactly. I love that. I want to learn more about that. I would love if you send me the reference on that so I can read into it more.
Yep.
And I think when we start to study more deeply into these things and not just like stare on social media and not take it into stimulating our brains or listen to certain speakers and only use it for motivation rather than actionable, practical things
100%.
that affect our biology, our humanness, I think that's when people make a change. That's why I love learning from you. That's why every one of your posts, I'm like, when you talk about blockchain, let me read this. You guys know some stuff I don't know yet, so let me go ahead and read this.
Oh, man.
the whole
exactly.
thing about Bitcoin.
Love that.
Wish we got to do a Bitcoin thing too, because I'm very interested in that area. And man, it's almost like having a regular conversation. For me, I'm like, I only do 30-minute interviews or talk to people 30 minutes. Then I talk to you, and it's like we're sitting in the parlor in the living room. We could be here 5 hours, guys. So
exactly.
Thank you for the time as well.
100%, man, and yeah, fuck it. I don't mind like in the future, for us to be able to do that, long couple hours, because I think there is some power in allowing conversations to go where they need to go. And at a certain point, you'll know when it dies out, and you're like, okay, guys, like Olumidé, man, I'm tired. Let's call it a night. But yeah, we'll do something like that. But it will come, right?
All right.
All right, brother.
Good.
Thanks for being on the show, man. And all the best. And I'll include all your links in the show notes.
Sounds great.
All right, my man.
Bye.
Take it easy.
The eyes may be able to see, but without a heart, you cannot feel.